with a new squad. And this guy who came from Malice and XT, won the We Play Academy League, and decided now it's time to take a step up further once again in towards Tier 2, wants to do it with Endpoint. They are so close now to the finish line, and it's getting me very, very excited of what could be a very good best of 3, because Endpoint, they always have this underdog fight about them. But ladies and gentlemen, we are just about ready to get underway into the final best of 3 in ESL Pro League Season 17 Conference. forZe take on Endpoint as I start on the T side.
Let's bloody go. I'm excited for this one. And of course, we start on a map that we haven't actually seen throughout the duration of the week either, in our cast at least. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting indeed to see how this one pans out, because it is the new Ancient with the deep CT spawn as well. It does make this map slightly more T-sided overall. But Krad will get a very good start and deal with Nerts while he's kind of half blind as well through the edge of the smoke. It's very difficult for Endpoint to hold this one because they have a Molotov. That is all. I say that is all. But the Molotov could very easily prove to be a big factor in this round. And MiGHTYMAX and HeavyGoD is doing great work again. And out comes the Molotov. MHL gets the last. Doesn't even need to use it anymore because all the kills are coming through. Results in the middle of nowhere. Max gets 3 and kicks off where he left off yesterday.
I said it before, and I'll say it again. Mighty in the name, mighty in the game. Max stepping up for 3K. You love to see it. Leading from the front. And Max is someone in this side who's never really looked upon in terms of the fragging department. Never looked at a guy who can really shine when it comes to the stats. But as we saw in Inferno, and as he started off here, he's doing exactly that. And if the IGL is stepping up in that way, someone who, when you usually look towards Endpoint, you're looking at Nerds, your MHLs, even your HeavyGoDs to step up in the fragging department. If Max is able to find some form too, my God, forZe need to be extremely worried.
Yeah, and they got the first pick, right? And that was it.
There we go.
Only 1 kill. Pretty ridiculous. Yeah, we do know that Endpoint do love a bit of Ancient, so very curious to see how they do play today. MP7 on Nerts loves the SMG. We've spoken about it a lot because it's a bit more of a niche one, of course. We see only certain players prefer to pick it up, and Nerts is one of them. Well, I will mention that you mentioned that MHL and Nerts had a great game yesterday. Well, let's just dig into that one a little bit deeper. MHL finished plus 31 with a 75 to 44 against Sprout. And Nerts went plus 17 with 64 kills of his own. 1.38 and 1.34 ratings. Absolutely superb. And if they can continue any sort of form like that again today, then I think forZe could be in a bit of trouble.
Bomb goes down. Jerry, all alone. MP9 in hand. It's a solemn world for him in Donut as he just waits to try and hope, honestly, to keep this MP9 in play, because they've really got nothing else to use as bargaining chips in towards round number 3. And he is being kind of slightly poked around. You see, over in towards main, Nerts waiting, seeing everyone rotate out his way, even just near him as well. MHL having a little poke and prod in towards mid. Does he survive? I think he probably should be okay. And I think if you're Endpoint in this position, the only one that I'd send hunting here is your Nerts or your Surreals. I think for the rifles, they should definitely be prioritized to save across, because, you know, it's MP9. What's it really going to do? It could be a cast of curse waiting to happen. But for now, Jerry will keep that MP9 ticking over. They start for Endpoint 2-0 and a flawless second on the board too, as the money over towards forZe doesn't allow them to buy around an MP9. They are just going to stick around that 2K mark. Couple of pistols to come through. Shouldn't be anything too overzealous. And we should, on paper, see Endpoint extend this lead to 3, which is the dream start on a map that is traditionally seen as the most CT-sided in the pool competitively at the moment anyway. But I think with the recent change, I think it's safe to say it's way more even than it once was. The spawn changes, even Cubby on towards that B-side makes DJ in towards mid as well. Nerts will find the first. He lots of MP7 and he makes it look deadly as MHL will support the AK-47. There's the opening double. Clean, cut, concise as they spot Jerry crossing Donut.
Yeah, and they even removed the only threat of the round, really. Well done, Nerts. Taking Jerry as well. MHL even finds also straight through that Molotov smoke, which is very hard to see from that range. But yeah, you mentioned the changes. I mean, in general, it does make things a lot more even, seemingly, doesn't it? I mean, it was interesting to see it played a couple of times in the blast as well, with Heroic struggling on it a little bit until they finally got underway, seemingly trying to warm up into the game, and just seeing how, obviously, how far pushed back you are in CT spawn now as well. And it does make the T timings a lot more favourable. I do believe the bomb damage radius, when it explodes, of course, is increased as well. And I have seen some players fall foul to that, dying in mid when they think they're going to be safe on low HP. So let's see if that comes into the equation at any point today. But in general, obviously, it's new, in inverted commas, ancient, still being sort of practiced and guessed by some teams as to how it will play out. They've only really seen it in practice. They've not seen it on the server in a match. So let's see how it plays today and what is one of the biggest matches of both these two teams here so early on in the year as well. First buy coming in for forZe. Of course, Endpoint have their bonus buy. If they can win this one, then already they're in a very, very good position.
Oh, I mean, that would really set the tone. It's just going to slowly, surely make his way in towards mid. And he gets red room for free here. I mean, no one's really holding down the fort. Close and personal. Jerry parked up with Zort. I mean, this is a very good crossfire. I think smart decision by Surreal not to just get too nosy. Peeking in there would be a death wish. And a sentence to be 6 feet under. For now, though, slow, methodical. The approach from Endpoint, just looking like they're peering around, poking for some info, but won't be giving it too much. A bit of a spam coming through. Zorta will take a bit of a tag, but overall, 40 seconds to work with. Where do Endpoints end up?
Yeah, I mean, that little tag actually probably would have done a bit more damage if Zorta was still stationary, because he is only on a glass cannon orb in this round. It doesn't matter. When he's got the sniper rifle, he's such a dangerous entity. We'll have to push further in toward cave, though, because the Molotov will lock him at bay. And HeavyGoD took Krad in the meantime. Shalfie, I don't think he's seen the timing on Nert's top mid. That could be a bit of a nightmare. Bomb is going down, but of course Jerry and Zorta are both still here. Jerry's showing himself now, and Zorta will help out with the frag towards Surreal. Back to the site, can't find Result. Big frag for him. Get some confidence after a slow mirage yesterday. Still a very new young player, but of course Shalfie did not see Nertz in mid, so this big flank is a big possibility, but then he looks for it. Still onto HeavyGoD, but he's got 3 kills coming in, and he does so well to make it a 1 versus 1, but unfortunately Jerry is too strong. Damage though, superb. Nice try.
As bonus buys go, Endpoint are actually relatively happy with that. I gotta say, you know, they've come and walked away with a bomb plant of 4 kills. I mean, all in all, there's a lot of positives to be taken. Yeah, and once again, you have to take a peer into our bottom left corner and look at the money for forZe. And yes, they can muster up a buy, but it's not a comfortable one. Wrestle's down to an MP9. Long-term economy is dwindling too, where for the T side, it's absolutely flourishing. So all in all, Endpoint still got a real good stranglehold on this start of map number 1, their pick. Their T side looking very good. And, you know, I'm a man who loves his stats. And so far, the stats are seeing that this map is a little bit more even than it once was. It's definitely not the most C-sided map anymore.
Yeah.
The C side, Endpoint can muster up a pretty, you know, decent start. I'm talking 6, 7 rounds. I'll be in for a world of good time on towards their CT sides. We know how good they can be at times. So now forZe, they need to be a little bit careful not to let this one slip too far. But attack damage coming through. And make sure I won't be too bothered about that. So you just brush it off. Max wants to take first contact in towards mid.
This Molotov could reveal a lot of information here. Shelfie's directly behind it. And I don't think he'll necessarily know how many players are behind that, even though he has a gap on the right-hand side. Nert's creeping forward. Shelfie's timing isn't too great, but it's good toward Max. You won't be expecting Nert so close, though, but he does have help from Result. That's a great rotation in from the youngster. Guarantees a 4v3. Reballing towards long. Will force HeavyGoD wide, but HeavyGoD hits a tasty entry. That's what we've been expecting from him. Saw it in the previous round. He's continuing that trend at the moment. Jerry, Krad, and Zorta. Bomb, of course, not down yet. MHL is still kind of disconnected from this site. Molotov might give him a chance to do so, and the smoke certainly does help, but in comes Krad just as that smoke blooms. That puts HeavyGoD into a very difficult situation. The flash comes in, that means he has to move his crosshair over, and Jerry pounces as it comes through. Well done, forZe, 2 in a row.
Yeah, that's a lot better from forZe as well. I mean, that's the sort of rounds that we look out of this side, and rounds that they should be, you know, putting on a more regular basis. I think the start was a little bit rocky, maybe just taking a bit of time to wear off the rust of, you know, the first game of the day or whatnot. But thankfully, a little bit better, more comfortable. You're looking over towards Endpoint now. Early tack pause being called, but I think it's actually a right time to call it. They've lost a little bit of that control that we like to speak about. And already the T side isn't bad, but for Endpoint, if they aren't able to make it, consistent consecutive rounds on that C side, especially in the full buys, that's when you get worried. It's all well and good, starting off strong, getting a couple of pistol rounds under your belt, winning the force buy against Eco and whatnot. All well and good, right? But if you can't do it against the full buys, that's where you get very concerned, right? That Endpoint might start to dwindle quite far behind in actually a similar way that Falcons did yesterday on Nuke, another map considered to be extremely decided. So, now Endpoint full buyout. This time, though, no AWP in the hands of MHL. I mean, there's a little bit more of a puggy affair towards round number 6.
Yeah, and the money they have left might mean that if they do lose this round, they could be just on pistols and a bit of a half-buy with 3 of their players. surreal and HeavyGoD are basically on nothing. MHL already to molly Shelfie out of that donut position. Shelfie in tasked with donut as it stands, with the occasional help from Risselt like we've seen. Oh, head spotted, and Zorta just catches it. What a find. Jerry on the edge of this smoke as well. That could be very dangerous. While Max is fighting in toward mid, you feel like Jerry could be really tempted to go for a peek, but he hears the movement. Max makes a couple of steps and Jerry spams him down. Maybe a bit of a help of a gun barrel sticking through that smoke as well. HeavyGoD has some decent timing on this lurk through A though. Risselt got his back turned, free kill, A site technically open for business here. They're rotating over, but Shelfie's trying to stop it. Long range taps can't connect at the moment. Still a 4v3 though, and of course Zorta is now here as well. They are kind of stacked up on top of each other though. It's a very tight sight line, but in comes Jerry. surreal has heard all of it though, and he's standing ready and waiting for Jerry to come through, and he adjusts beautifully. There's the quick fire headshot, he gets a second as well. What a great job that is from surreal. In the meantime, MHL got the bomb planted toward A, and he's in a 1 versus 2, and Zorta gets caught strafing, trying to advance toward the site. Big clutch for MHL. Free AWP on the last tick of the round as well. Everything he could have wanted just came through for him.
Easy. That's what we need. That's what we're looking for from Endpoint. Individual stepping up. I gotta say as well, that one flashing towards mid, that just paused it, it forced it to sort of, pump the brakes essentially. That's what we're on the round, because it allowed MHL to cross in towards Donut with the bomb in tow and then get it down and then set himself up into a 1 versus 2. And his isolation of the fight was brilliant. That's the Endpoint we know and love, and that's the side who can really step up. Great flash as well will force Jerry into a look position. He's got the Zeus out, and he'll find Max. It may not give him too much off the top of it, but Nurse has to be careful. He's in no man's land, and the USPs, well, they may not be powerful. A couple of them shooting your way are going to drop you off, and AK scooped up. Endpoint, this is being made a little bit more difficult than it should be.
It's suddenly not funny anymore when it comes to Endpoint. The of the Zeus could prove to be a sort of a startling moment, not just for MiGHTYMAX, but for this round in general. surreal. Oh, Zorta's found the Galil as well. Needs to be careful here. MHL is on that line, and there is surreal getting that one done. Boost comes through, but MHL takes the kill nicely. He should get taken down here by Krad, but he pulls out the Glock just in time. Somehow he's got away with his life there on 14 HP. surreal tagged down so low as well, but they get away, and how to dodge there. Goodness me, that was a bit too expensive, but in the end it's cleaner than I expected considering the situation.
Good start, really good start. And this is kind of what I was going back to earlier when I was saying about that attack pause for Endpoint. They have to start finding success in the full buys. And now that they are in a relatively comfortable fashion, okay, against the Eco there, could cover more casualties than they would have hoped for. But overall, they managed to kind of recover the situation, generally speaking. That's where we start to see for Endpoint. I feel a little bit more confident, right? This is what we're hoping and expecting out of this side. So for now, 3-round gap built up. An opportunity as well. Break that CT side economy once further. Win this round for Endpoint. forZe will be left in ruins, economically speaking, and it'll force them into an eco in towards round number 9. Kind of reaffirming that brutal cycle that I like to talk about we can get stuck into. Very important round. Endpoint take this. They could get very close to even guaranteeing themselves a lead at the half. But Zorta, other ideas. Great opener. Nurse to 4, an important kill too, but Max will cross in towards Red Room.
Yeah, and as you so rightly say, that cross is kind of important because it hasn't been spotted yet. It hasn't gone as far as I thought he would, though. Zorta definitely didn't see that. Really good to see MHL having a good solid start as well. 10 kills and 2 deaths already. Everybody's going aggressive, and that's the sort of entry you want to see from him. Do you think Endpoint might be looking to try and target Risselt a bit more than if it was perhaps a forester, for example? We shall see. Sorta, another good close-range shot, but Max will trade it, lurking his way in. Sorta did go looking for him, but took him pretty comfortably in the end. Jerry finds MHL, covers it into a 2v2, but HeavyGoD hits another important spray. And it's Krad 1v2. He is here very quickly, though. He's got down silently, gets the kill toward Max, and it's another 1v1 on the A site. But HeavyGoD has all the health in his favour, and of course, Krad is kitless. He's actually armorless as well. Goes in for the frag as HeavyGoD, and he finds it comfortably. 3 kills for HeavyGoD again. 10 on the board. He's looking superb to start map 1.
The new boys on the block for Endpoint have stepped up massively in towards Ancient. 10 kills for HeavyGoD, 11 for MHL. A lot of positives. And once again, just confirming what we all know about how good Endpoint are when it comes to summer signings. They absolutely love it. Deadline day is, well, it's their golden day for Endpoint, it seems, because they are so consistent at finding these diamonds in the rough and, well, polishing them into stars. For now, Nertz is just flying his way forward. This MP7 is the range. Should be a kill, but it won't be. Shelfie, nice shot with an eagle. Will open things up, and for forZe on a low buy, they are so happy to have the numbers advantage now.
That's a very cheeky kill to take, but it was also a pretty cheeky push from Nertz, so maybe punishment is what he deserved. Holding W with the MP7, trying to give it a go. Might be thinking that forZe are on a low buy, and he'd be right, but Shelfie says, how dare you? It's very interesting to me to see MHL, even though we only had a rifle in that 1v2 we had, with Zorta being the final player, he was very comfortable to take the peak immediately, even though he knew it was Zorta last alive. And it worked out perfectly for him, didn't it? Caught him off guard straight away. Sort up close. MHL not missing at the moment. Clean 50 health taken off of him. He now very squishy. HeavyGoD once again. What a tasty transfer, right? And what do we talk about? MHL and HeavyGoD? They're both 12 and 3 right now.
Real's in, he's loving life over here. Nice and empty.
You're going to bring it back,
Plenty of space to work with, and yeah. One man, one lurk from Surreal. I mean, Surreal's this guy, right, who is usually looked upon as a little bit more of a support player and kind of that lurking role. And he does a stellar job in towards here. He might even just try and make sure that no one can find any space wrapping back through CT. It'll be tested momentarily. Krad have a look in. And Surreal, AK-47 bullet to the dome. Trying to fall, and I'll leave it all down to one man and Zorta. I think it's probably a call to keep hold of what he's got. I mean, to be honest, he'll have money to work with in towards the next. It's just the rest of the team won't. So, in a usual situation, if everyone else was sitting around kind of 2K, you might see Zorta playing very aggro here, right? Just try and make sure he can drop a rifle, maybe even scoop up an AWP or something along the lines, right? A real, like, nice silver lining, so to say. But the rest of the team, slightly struggling economically. Utility might be a factor where they struggle to buy in towards the neck. You know, you're looking towards Jerry, for example. I think he'll be, if this is saved, he'll be dropped over the MP9. We've seen him use it more often than not. And then maybe Zorta can invest in towards an M4 himself. But I think the buy for forZe and towards this next one is going to be pretty dire. Endpoint have started really well in towards their map pick of Ancient. Showing, when it comes to Endpoint versus CIS sides, Na'Vi wasn't just a flash in the pan. They know how to take him down. Everyone calls it the upset of the year. I call it a trend now, if this carries on the way it is going. Attack pause called, and it's a good opportunity for Jerry to have a conversation, rally the troops, rally the youngsters into breaking down what's going right, what's going wrong so far. And I think something you brought up earlier might actually be true now that we've seen a couple of rounds being played out. The tactics by Endpoint seem that they are trying to isolate Risol, right? It does seem like they're looking to try and expose the youngster and maybe kind of play on his inexperience just a little bit. And I actually like this call because there's a world that you could even make the argument that while Risol has been bracking with this team, he's probably been scrimming with them, playing for a little bit, how much does he actually have in terms of synergy and cohesion with these guys, right? I think that's where things get a little bit rough for him. So obviously you see kind of Jerry in a way sort of babysitting him. You're sitting into his donut, playing a lot of that contact near him. But yeah, it looks like Resol is slightly being targeted just as an opening kill. See what they can do with it.
Yeah, and that's probably why. And again, like this, maybe you would trust forZe a bit more. But realistically, you've got to start somewhere. So this is a big game for the young lad. He had one very good map on Nuke yesterday. The second map he was quiet. Thankfully it didn't matter. And there we go. Position changed up ever so slightly. The first 2 kills go in the way of forZe. Shelfie took his kill toward MHL as he went in very aggressively. And stopped by Result as well. But again, the entries are too good and the trades are superb as well. Oh my goodness, now it's the B-bomb site being overrun. HeavyGoD, another 2 kills to add to the tally, and he's holding a very good angle as well, but Resort pre-fires him beautifully. It's down to the IGL Max, 1 versus 2. There's a smoke up still, so he has time to go for this bomb plant. And neither of these two players have a defuse kit picked up yet, so that could be big. I think there's one on the floor there. Still, it's going to be hard. At least they now know where Max is coming from, and in the end, they do figure it out nicely. They isolated the duel. Max obviously needed to take 1 to at least give him a 1v1. But forZe figure it out, and that's actually a really important round because they were starting to lose their way a little bit. They've been on full loss bonus for a while. Finally, they get themselves around.
Yeah, it's a nice try, I think, for them. I think, once again, it's one of those rounds where you're saying for Endpoint, there's small positives they can use to kind of compile in a little bit more of a longer-term sense. Bomb plant, few kills, just keeping that CT economy kind of towing over and in check, and at least they can be confident that in a more long-term sense, they are a little bit more stronger. But maybe this is where things are a little bit of a turning point for forZe, right? Over towards the T side of Endpoint, lose this round on a bomb plant, they themselves will struggle to invest in towards the next unless it's sort of a hero rifle, may I say, in the hands of a Surreal. Of course, no AWP for them either. It means MHL just opting for the AK, but we've seen them do some very good work with it so far. So, the end of the world. Smoke will come through. One donut. Trying a little bit of that control that Shelfie usually get.
Very mid-central. A lot of endpoints early rounds. I'll sort of remind you a little bit of other maps in the pool about how important mid can be, but this boost could be really nice. This boost could be very tasty. The problem is that smoke has let them bypass, and of course Shelfie, he and Result really want to figure out exactly what's going on here. But of course, they've put so much manpower into looking for that information. HeavyGoD can hear everything from his position right now. Here's the rotations back and through from Donut. Real just holding the line. Deals with Jerry going aggressively, and Shelfie so close to a line up there. Gets the insta headshot on Max, but Nertz is there to deal with it, and Result's getting nervy. He does find HeavyGoD, which is a really good recovery considering the situation he was in. He's got 2 more coming his way, and he gets 1 more. Really well done. Nertz now 1v2 and not much health to work with. Zoltan will charge in, at least make some noise while he waits for Krad. 50-50 out, seeing if Nertz pops his way out. The smoke for Nertz is very helpful. Much used to go aggressive off the back of that reload with a P250, but Krad's there just in time. Well done again for forZe. They're very tight these rounds. It's another bomb plant for Endpoint, but forZe win another one with 2 alive.
One of those things as well, when you see sides are able to kind of really choke out rounds and very close affairs, but so consistently convert them, you start to kind of internally lean in their favor in clutch situations. forZe's ability in these last couple just to see them off and make sure that they're able to, just put another round on the board does always, help them out in, again, a little bit more of that long-term sense. Things are looking a lot better for forZe now, and hence why, once again, you can see another board's called by Endpoint. They need to turn this back in their favor, and it's a good opportunity for Max, Radiant to have a conversation here now about how we're going to find weaknesses in this CT defense, despite them having some kind of middling economy, and also probably a conversation about what they do in terms of a buy. Does Surreal go for some sort of a hero AK? Do they full buy, which I think would be extremely risky? Probably the right call would be a low/half buy here. I stick above that 2K mark, have money to work with in towards the next round, but for now, if they really want to risk it, Surreal can maybe pick up an AK if he wants to. Is it worth it? Probably not overall, even though he probably could invest in towards the next. I think they prefer to have a little bit more extra cash and then drop MHL and AWP, which would be a lot more valuable. So they are going to go for the pistols. I think it is definitely the smart call by Endpoint. It does mean that on paper, forZe should be within reach and distance at only a 2-round deficit now to catch back up. And HeavyGoD, he'll fall immediately. Youngster Results to start.
Yeah, he's starting to grow into this game a little bit now, Result. Playing well. That really important hold with the M4A4 in the previous round. Got both kills. HeavyGoD was 14-3. Hasn't had any impact in the last 3 rounds. Nice heard. 4 floors in this round. Be comfortable. Result gets himself a second as well. It's trying to at least remove a couple of players from the equation, but Result's doing some nice farming here. This will certainly build up his confidence. Of course, as I mentioned in the pre-game, this is exactly... Nice shot, Max. This is exactly what Jerry does. Finds these youngsters, brings them up to a pretty decent tier 2 level. We did with Shelfie. Krad, of course, has had his time on Entropic, but that's the experience you may need alongside a couple of youngsters. Jerry on this team for 5.5 years, near as makes no difference. Really insane. And the guy's only 24. No, he's been doing this since the teenage days. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, already he's kind of seen as the old guard and I don't know, a bit of a legend of the scene in some cases, right?
He's young.
He's 24. I mean, he's still got a wealth of a career ahead of him. I mean, a lot of players these days, we're seeing them play into the 30s. Any MBK to mention just a few. Shot by Zorta. Just get tagged as well. The nade will come through. Won't finish off the job though. Nerf 3 points of HP. Surreal on towards 10, 13 apiece. But they still remain alive. Not much longer. Jerry for 1. Make that 2. And just as we sing his praises, he'll step up for a 3k. MHL may trade him, but it's too little, too late. It's a 2 versus 4. And 4's hunting for a 6th round.
Jerry just picking up his balls there and saying, I'm better than you. That was absolutely ridiculous. That 3rd kill was on the last tick before he went down as well. Just one final headshot to put some salt in the wounds. That was super, super clean. MHL looking to save the AWP. He's got a long time to do so, and Krad could already be on his way to cut him off. And of course, MHL only $200. This would be a pretty valuable save, but Krad has got really good timing here. Has he heard MHL wandering in? I think he may have done. And Gunbarrel will certainly be spotted first here. What's going to be the timing like? And there you go. Krad removes it. Perfectly done. And now forZe are within 1.
It's really getting close now, I think, for Endpoint. I have to say they're probably under the cosh a little bit. I still actually generally would say that this T side is very good. I mean, 7 rounds already is actually a fairly decent T side as Ancient go. I mean, I used to say back on the old version of Ancient that 5 rounds was like actually pretty good. On a little bit more of an even basis, 7. Same scenario, I don't think it's actually too bad at all. And they still could squeak their way into guaranteeing a lead at the half. The penultimate round for them, though, is just going to be that low buy. Jerry opting for the AUG at close range. Often you see the Orgs and the Kriegs anymore. I think Org a little bit more often than the Krieg, but Org's still very viable, especially on scoped. Jerry will notice momentarily. Can he get a double? No, MHL will trade and he'll scoop it up himself. We know what this guy can do with a scope. Unfortunately for Endpoint, they left after 2 players. Take that one.
Exactly. MHL left. The AWP is a bit of a weird one. I mean, if he really wanted to, he could save it, but he'll probably want the loss bonus to be able to buy up the AWP, and he will, of course, take that. Gives him 6,300 to work with in this next round, and that is enough for his sniper rifle. So, final round of the half coming in. Endpoint was 7-2 ahead. Now we're going to see if forZe can somehow snag the lead on the half. It would be a good recovery. Of course, we're not entirely sure how this current version of Ancient plays out in terms of the averages on the CT and T side. I'd say it's a lot more even than we have seen in the past, and right now we are certainly seeing that. It's guaranteed to be the most even half possible. HL boosted up with the AWP. Lot of will be avoided thanks to that. HL, but actually fine, Jerry, is he and Shelfie go very aggressive, and in comes Krad too, trying to pinch. Surreal stuck behind the corner, and he takes him comfortably. HeavyGoD did take Result in the meantime, so 3v3, and it looks like they might be trying to push on towards Zorta, but he's ready for the feast, and he gets all of them. So many players coming his way. Nerds, look at him spraying in the smoke, trying his best. But Zorta has held them at bay and has let the rotation of Krad come over as well. Brilliant time wasting for him, going aggressive so deep. That sees his flank and actually takes it towards Shelfie, but Zorta is just everywhere right now. He's rotated all the way back to mid to find that kill too. Now Nerds has spotted him out, holding the bomb. Not a good peek for him. Bit of a left eye peek there, and that Molotov will force him away, but Krad is here to take the duel if he really wants to. It's going to be a tough one though, and now of course it's only a 1v1. Nerds needs it, but Krad was still there to deal with it, and it's a very tight end to a very, very tight half. forZe nick it. 8-7. See you in a minute.
From the back roads to back streets, I see you foes trying to trap me, but I don't run like a track meet, even though I'm #1 like an athlete. And the way I maneuver around you and through you, I'm coming and I'm bound to pursue you. I'm everything that you knew of, plus more. What's in store is I'm about to get to you. Sleepless nights, better think this twice before you step to me and come and speak with strife. There's a lesson when you reach my life. It'll be chin-checking and I'll teach you right. Plenty tried, plenty failed. Too many times I've seen plenty bail. And there will be no surprise what I'm about to do when you are looking through my eyes. See many go, see many come. See that they won't bring it to me, son. Try me if you want, but won't be any fun. I'll take the challenge, I'll beat anyone. I'm the one, I'll be quite clear. Bow down to no one, I'm right here. I get it in, I don't fight fair. And guess what? I'm your worst nightmare. Cause I ain't taking no losses. And I don't even care what the cost is. Are you prepared for the forces I'm about to bring? Cause I'm the boss of all bosses. I penetrate your thoughts and fill them with doubt. You gon' feel where I'm coming and feel what I'm about. If they come in with the drama, I'm wheeling them out. Cause I ain't about to have somebody here stealing my clout. I keep my friends close, enemies closer. Cause that's the way it is and the way it's supposed to be. Anybody can see there's only room for one, and that one is me. Plenty tried, plenty failed. Too many times I've seen plenty bail. And there will be no surprise what I'm about to do when you are looking through my eyes. See many go, see many come. See that they won't bring it to me, son. Try me if you want, but won't be any fun. I'll take the challenge, I'll beat anyone. I'm the one, I'll be quite clear. Bow down to no one, I'm right here. I get it in, I don't fight fair. And guess what? I'm your worst nightmare. I'm your worst nightmare. Are you prepared? I'm your worst nightmare. I know you scared. I'm your worst nightmare. Are you prepared? I'm your worst nightmare. I know you're scared.
One slot left for Malta, and it's a one-round gap between forZe and Endpoint. It's about as close as we expected it would be. What do you think, Nao?
It's tough. It's a real close one to call. The thing that makes me slightly in favour of Endpoint is just that they now go on towards their CT side. But I think this pistol might actually decide a lot here, right? Who's going to get the earlier part of momentum, really start to take a real chokehold in towards a very, very close affair of a map so far. And I think a lot of credit has to be given to forZe in the way they've been able to turn that one back around for a large majority of that half. It was looking like Endpoint were going to be able to see it off in a relatively convincing fashion. And forZe managed to clamber it back, tooth and nail, back in their favor. Who takes his pistol round might actually determine who takes a large majority of the momentum into the early part of the second half.
Let us see. Max been forced all the way back into CT as forZe will go very aggressive. They've actually gone all the way through to the CT spawn now. Very aggressively, and Max can't strafe away. That removes the kit from the equation as well, but at least for now. He's on close range. Krad finds him as well. Beautiful start for forZe in this pistol. And more headshots are being hit as well. Assault will dink MHL from long range. 13 HP to spare for him. He's also the co-top fragger, I will say. Is MHL and HeavyGoD at this moment in time. So, interesting to see how well those guys played in the first half, yet still at a one-round deficit. Could about to be two as well. However, Nerds has picked up that defuse kit. Unfortunately, with the bomb planted on B and a long rotation, I think they're deciding that saving the Kevlar, especially that MHL has been dinked, and I do believe we'll still have 100 armor to work with, is the way to go. However, they are being pressured. Nertz will find one. He will get actually help from MHL on that second kill, so he only gets that one kill. Krad will trade it. I do think Endpoint will take... Oh! Zorta gets it at the end! So they only have one set of Kevlar into the next round. That is a really great start from forZe.
Oh my god, that's a lovely shot on the way out as well. forZe started really strong. I mean, that has really set themselves up for so much kind of early part of success in towards this game so far. That is a really, really crucial way to see out that pierce around, because now we see a real hefty full buy coming out from forZe. Double AK, double Galil, one MAC-10 in the hands of Shalfie. Actually surprised not to see, you know, Jerry give the Galil over towards Shalfie. He is such a prominent rifler, but either way, over towards Endpoint, they don't really match up too heavily. Scout coming through, MP7 for Nerds, and then the support around it is pretty brutal. He got a couple of pistols to work with, and that's really just about it. And already they're being tested. Max taking a bit of damage as a fall back, and MHL mollied off the angle. He has to play from range.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see Nertz continuing to go for the MP7, even when it's just a half buy or slash force buy like this. Not content with just the Deagle, he really wants that SMG in his hands at every single given opportunity. Good execute from forZe though, the smokes are up, and it certainly helps them out. Get that bomb planted safely, especially against a force buy like this. It can be so scary. MHL will manage to hit a shot, but it's only a slight tag. And I think the realistic option here for Endpoint is just to save what they have and keep that Scout, MP9 and double Deagle into that next round. It's their only choice, really. It does make sense, even though it is the boring option. And this is a superb start to the second half for forZe. About to reach double digits coming in.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really, really solid start, right? Doing it flawlessly as well means that I guess you can call it a force, but they didn't really bring too much to the table. It just had so little impact from Endpoint. Damage coming through, yes. 1 does 4 in the hands of Result, but overall, the fact that they're bringing in kind of that double AK, that double Galil alongside, it's absolutely fine. This should be more than comfortable, really, for forZe to start netting themselves up such a healthy gap before we see that response. They should go up to 11 here before we see Endpoint really even scratch the surface. And they're already now starting to quite considerably fall behind really, really early doors, which is not what you want to be seeing, considering this is Endpoint's map pick. Either way, 10-7. Endpoint, of course, not investing too much in towards the next. Max, nothing at all for him. Everybody trying to have at least 2 grand to work with him towards the next round. MHL towards Donut needs a headshot here to potentially open the door to a conversation of can they take an 8th. Need something special. Nice opener, though. Or nice opening tag.
He goes super aggressive, looking for to actually finish that kill off as well, but Jerry and Shelby will get away with it, and in comes Krad. He deals with both of them as they push through A. Nertz, though, still alive with this MP7. That will be a pretty deadly weapon up against Jerry and Shelby, but oh, Surreal can't connect with that, and Krad's Molotov spreads. It's HeavyGoD 1v4, and as far as 1v4s go, it's actually vaguely winnable, and even winnable on 1 HP! Okay, 1 more to go. I say the word winnable, but I did not see Shelfie coming in on the flank. Oh, it's a super, super nice try from HeavyGoD. I was going to say all of them were low, but that flank was the insurance policy. What an attempt.
Woo. That got close. That got way closer than it should have been as well. I mean, you know, credit over towards HeavyGoD. I mean, that is a really, really good attempt from him. With 1 HP walking away with a couple of kills, he is not going to complain at all. But something that Endpoint should be complaining about is this deficit that's starting to build up. forZe are really already in, you know, a deep amount of control. They're really starting to run away with this early part of the second half. And I think Endpoint needs to be extremely careful. We do have a pause coming through. It's a tech pause. So hopefully nothing too big of a deal. We can get back underway in towards this second half, which so far has been pretty electric despite Endpoint not having a full buy. Now they'll be able to bring one in towards the next round. An open play for MHL is good to see as well. Supported by the triple M4A1S and an M4 in the hands of Nerds. And over towards forZe, this is still a bonus. I think for Krad, he may invest in towards an AK, but aside from that, Jerry as well, similar thing. But I don't think they want to be too overzealous in the investment and sort of maybe play as much as they can around that MP7. AK is coming out, and try and make something work with it, but still have a little bit of money in arrears when they need it, or if they need it later down the line. So take pause here, but of course I think apparently we should be good to go in just a couple of minutes. So far though, forZe 4-round lead. They're sitting, relatively comfortable. They're at least, a good arm and a leg's distance away.
Yeah, indeed. There'll be a few little HUD bits and pieces that will refresh once this tech pause is sorted out. I believe it was an issue with the coach. You saw a double HeavyGoD on the right hand side for a second there. I can assure you, you're not seeing double. And if it was forZe, they saw 2 HeavyGoDs, they'd be certainly pretty concerned. I'm going to try and fix it up pretty quickly for you, so we'll quickly switch over while we wait. Won't be too long, guys, don't you worry. And we can get back into the game very quickly indeed. But yeah, I think at the moment, forZe is going to be very content with how things stand. We've got this situation of them being behind for a considerable amount of time in the first half. There was a point, I do believe, where Endpoint was 7-2 in front. And now look where we're at. It's incredibly close, but still, it's a streak of 9 rounds. So 11-7 from 7-2. Pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, you got to give me credit. 9 rounds in a row. I think forZe have really taken a stranglehold of this game now. And you do look over towards Endpoint and you're thinking about how and ways in which they can break the deadlock here. I'm very concerned that this might get to a question of being too little too late, very soon, right? If we see forZe climb towards 12, 13 rounds, they're not a side, unfortunately, to say it, like Endpoint, who are, likely to struggle to see off a game. And struggle to get those final few rounds. They're very calm, composed. They've got good mannerisms to see off games where we've seen it before for Endpoint. Yesterday, a prime example on Vertigo where they struggled to see that one off. So, it's not a thing that Endpoint, or that forZe, may I say, is too likely or, something that is known within them. So, I think Endpoint needs to be a little bit concerned, but the tech pause is done and dusted, so we can get the show back on the road. It is full buys coming out, but like we mentioned, still money left in the pockets for forZe in a worst case scenario, especially in the hands of Shelfie and Krad. Early util damage on towards Jerry, but he got some good space.
Yeah. I think Shelfie actually may have mistakenly taken an MP7 in one of those previous rounds, because I'm pretty sure he didn't have that gun before and had a better one than that, so slight error, but not the end of the world. forZe are still in a very good spot, and as I said, 9 rounds in a row for them is a superb streak, and they're going to try and take advantage of the A bomb site once again. Zorta's holding the line to take Nertz's rotation, and Krad just entries Max immediately. MHL just takes a pot shot, hoping for the best, but he hits the ridiculous smoke wallbang. But Endpoint had to get out of there, and it has to be said, we had a little chat about it in the previous, in the pre-game, I should say. And we saw how good Sprout's T-sides were yesterday, even though Sprout, in general, were the second better team. And we start kind of seeing that again today in terms of Endpoint CT sides aren't as good as we really should be seeing. forZe are taking advantage of that once again. It's going to be 10 rounds in a row, and Endpoint can't get off the mark on defense.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, this is brutal. Was it? That's like, yeah, 10 in a row now, and got to get really concerned. You got to get worried. This is meant to be statistically one of Endpoint's best maps. We go to Overpass next, and yes, you can look at yesterday's results and say, okay, they took down Sprout, a very good side, but I'd make the argument that forZe are a little bit more of a better team, in my opinion, especially with the likes of the Zortas and the Shalfies of the world, and Jerry as a leadership overall. Krad, his experience too, upper echelons and tier 2. So all in all, you'd maybe lean there in terms of the consistency as an online side compared to Sprout, who I think definitely have the ability to have much higher peaks, but they're super inconsistent, of course, as we saw yesterday. So you do get worried, right? If Endpoint don't, even if this map is to fall flat, if Endpoint don't make it competitive on the way out, that's when I get really worried, because it would just be so much confidence before us going in towards Overpass, and this series might be done in a matter of mere moments.
Crazy, right? I did not see this sort of streak coming. I saw it being a back and forth continuation, but Endpoint are roundless since they were up 7-2. Pretty crazy. Endpoint need to find a way to get their stars into the action on CT, because we saw HeavyGoD, we saw MHL in particular, those two step up hugely in certain scenarios. We need to see HeavyGoD go for his entries as well on CT rather than just T. In a quiet second half. Nertz as well had a by his standards, a very quiet map. We expect so much from him. Sometimes you just have a bad game. Simple as that. MHL waiting for the peak, and here we go. Nertz gets it off and running, and the timing for MHL to rotate back round to have a look at Donut is absolutely spot on. Shelfie gets caught. It's Krad and Zorta remaining, and the streak could finally be over here for forZe. Surreal will catch Krad walking through a smoke, trying to make a play. Not going to happen. And finally, Endpoint are about to win a round, and cleanly at that.
Zorta, it's a question of can he keep that AWP in play? Do Endpoint test the hunt? I actually think that'd be quite risky just because, well, they're not really stable at all in terms of the economy. But at the same time, the reward is pretty hefty. Just making sure that no AWP in playing towards the next, or at least if you're reinvesting towards the AWP, it probably have to be Shelfie dropping one over, which will make things a little bit more uncomfortable for us. But I think they'll be fine. Endpoint aren't moving an inch at all. Happy just to park up on the sites and see up the round flawlessly as well. MHL, bit of a masterclass. He started so well, then maybe quieted down just a tad. Thankfully, it's good to see him well back alive, kicking on the server. And Endpoint finally for the first in 10, first in 30, first in 11, rounds or so to pick up their first in that amount of time. It's been a while, it's safe to say, since we've seen Endpoint find success, but thankfully we can talk about it once again, and what a way to do it as well. Flawlessly picking up their 8th, finally getting back into the conversation, taking rounds and making this a competitive affair. That's what we want to see. 4 rounds is the gap between the two. Still relatively comfortable for forZe overall, but a winning towards round number 21 might start to set that snowball effect seriously into play for Endpoint.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that previous round as well is that forZe fell into the trap of doing the thing which often doesn't work for them, and that's going one by one into certain positions. We saw the one player trying to come up through A and 2 through Donut. That wasn't too bad, but obviously the A long player just walked solo into MHL's AWP, and then the rotation round from MHL, catching Shelfie trying to work through as well, didn't really work out. And Nertz, in the following round, we spotted the first piece of information. Both Endpoint and forZe seem very mid-centralized in their T sides. It's another one where forZe attempted to push through the doors into CT. It does give you such a huge amount of map control. A bit reminiscent of T's being in a position like Murder Hole near jungle on Mirage. Just cuts off so many rotations, at least in a wider entry line. Daughter, smoke primed, smoke thrown. That'll be telegraphed by both the two A defenders, and MHL be waiting for a flash from a teammate to truly go for this swing again. And that may be why. Zorta takes it, and there's the lurk of Jerry. It's absolutely superb. Here's the rotation of MiGHTYMAX, and they're just absolutely overwhelming the A bomb site right now. It's unretakeable, and they've hit back straight away. Unless Nertz gets more ridiculous damage down through the smoke, and he might still do so. What a ridiculous shot towards Zorta as well. Looking for more, and here's Nertz. He's here to play an ancient. Krad finally puts him to death, but look at the health. Shelfie 32, Krad 45. It's completely gone wrong from a 5v3, and then they go back and check Krad perfectly. It's down to Shelfie, and he can only hit the leg shot on Surreal. Ridiculous recovery from Endpoint. Their 9th is on the board in insane circumstances.
That's a great retake. That is an excellently played retake. I mean, a lot of credit there has to be given to Nertz. Those 3 frags really stepped things up for them, but overall, those last 2 guys rotating in from CT, the jump on the corner of the wall as well, forcing a leg shot. I mean, everything played into the cards of Endpoint and is starting to set a precedent on the other way as well for forZe. Now look where they stand. Yes, they've mustered up a buy, but it's not exactly comfortable. Double Galil coming in. But most importantly, the utility's lacking too. On an executor as well. More importantly, a post-plant situation. This side will start to struggle, and Jerry will start off the round with 19 points of HP. He is bombarded with utility.
Goodness me, yeah. Straight through that Molotov to try and take a duel and get into the boxes in mid, but gets nothing for it. Endpoint suddenly in a bit of an ascendancy here, and it's only a 2-round ascendancy, but the last 2 must give them so much momentum, you would think. That retake from a 3v5 was unbelievable. Nertz doing all the work, but look at Shelfie. He's creeping in behind again, and Surreal gets caught off guard. He knew that timing was available to him, and suddenly, once again, forZe are in an excellent situation. Surely they can't find a way to lose this one. Max, MHL, and Nerds, while they have some cash and kits, I don't think this is viable to go for.
No, I agree. There's no point. I don't think there's a world in which Endpoint need to take a risk here, because I think more long-term it'll affect them in quite a bad way. For now, just keep all of what you got, boys. Fall back. Orb taking over in towards the next is way more important than trying to get a couple of pop shots in a really, really difficult retake, which, let's be honest, it was never going to happen. Great round, though, from forZe again. I think they played that way more simple, right? Of course, bit of pressure towards mid off the back of Jerry, but it was just a standard B take. Play the numbers game. Play with the small amounts of utility you've got to force a bomb going down. And then when you're in a post-bomb scenario, you kind of make Endpoint make these really difficult decisions. I think Shalfie, again, in terms of his lurking, is doing really, really well. While overall, I think his impact has been very minimal. And in kind of the frag department, slightly struggling a little bit, it seems. At 9 to 15, generally speaking, when he does find the frag, he's extremely impactful. So I'll give him the credit where the credit's due. And he's done a lot of work in towards round number 22 to lock it in their favor. So having a peek in through. Molotov will take him down halfway. Nade to get off the back of it.
I will give props to forZe. That previous round, which is sticking to their guns and going for the plays that they know will work. Shalfie hearing all that information in that previous round, just lurking in and taking Surreal was brilliant. And stopping Endpoint before they get too far. And Endpoint will be a little bit annoyed, because I think they'll know they are probably just that one round away from breaking the economy. They're smart enough to realise the monetary situation. They have a chance to keep it tight here. MiGHTYMAX with a really good opening frag. Knight comes flying in toward Donut. And we'll take half of Nerds' health away. Shalfie looks like he wants to do that again. Going toward Jaguar. Resmoke will come in. MiGHTYMAX's in a good spot to deny any presence this time.
Very quiet now, 40 seconds to work with. MiGHTYMAX, a little period. I don't think he knows about Jerry in close left. Ooh.
Yeah.
A little jiggle. He will be called upon, shoulder spot, and I think, in fact, there from Result. Kind of see him off as well, make that a double. That's quick. A Shalfie steps up for a trade on towards Surreal. Numbers brought level once further. The bomb should be able to go down as the rotation called over. And they're playing it in a split as well, as Max doesn't want to peer his head. They're waiting for a sound cue, waiting for a mistake from forZe, but not being given anything just yet, as the bomb will get planted. How does Nerds play this? How do they set themselves up? Well, Max will overextend, and it'll leave Nerds all alone, and Zolta can see that one off very quickly. What a round for forZe as they push their way up to 14, within reaching distance now of the all-elusive 16, just 2 rounds away, and they'll opt for a pause off the back of it.
That was so tight. That was so tight. The bomb, they actually left the bomb on the ground for longer than I was expecting, therefore, as I expected an immediate pickup. And to try and get it down before the rotations came in for Endpoint. But yeah, in the end, even though Max was up super close, and then Zorza had to worry about Cave, both angles were found, and I have to say props to Result. 2 really impactful trade kills. And then, even though he died to Endpoint pushing through the smoke, Shalfie was the insurance to come in from Cave and get that immediate trade. He got himself a second kill as well. The stars of both these two teams, Endpoint and forZe, Nerds and Shalfie, have both been relatively slow in this game, but now have both had a couple of hugely impactful rounds, which have basically won them single-handedly for their team. It doesn't matter on your full tally, it matters in the moment when you can show up in the big pressure scenarios with Malta on the line. There's a gap in the smoke for Nerds to work with. That will remove Shalfie. The 2 players I mentioned duel against each other. Now off the back of that, forZe are going to go toward the A-bomb site. Max holding the back. He'll be mollied off guard. It doesn't mean he has to swing wide though. And for now, forZe will cancel that and keep it as a fake.
That opener as well, Endpoint, a little bit of confidence comes through for them. They just play the trade game a little bit, right? Double stack up and play for the ability. Just keep the numbers in their favor, going 1 for 1. Jerry retaking a bit of mid control. very slowly here. They're not using a lot of util either. Over towards the T side, it is slightly lacking. All realistically in the hands of Zorta. Smoke, Molly, double flash for him. A few bits here and there, but overall, a lot reliant on the AWPer to get some util down, especially in a post-spawn scenario. They're relying on Angel alone here as Nerds to take a fight. Whereas the youngster Rusol who steps up as Nerds unfortunately continues to dwindle. Krad will step up for one more too. MiGHTYMAX falling, brings the numbers back in favor of the T side. And this time, the post-spawn set up with some severe security.
Yeah, even though Krad's low, I don't see a world in which Endpoint can really go for this. They have a kit on MHL, and a smoke and a molly, but that should now cancel out any idea. We expect them to want to keep these guns over, and of course, I think forZe realise this. They are going to go for it though, and you know what? Props to them, but it was never going to work out. Krad peeks aggressively, takes the fallback of HeavyGoD. Krad up to 24-13. Here's showing his experience on the big stage right now. It may be an online tournament, but he's done it against the very best in the pomp of Entropic. And he's showing the talent he has got at the moment. Risol, gotta say props to him. He's had a number of very impactful impact entries toward the end of this map. Now the buy for Endpoint to keep forZe at bay in this round is 2 FAMASs and 2 MP9s. Not great utility.
No.
forZe are on the brink.
Pretty grim. It's gruesome. Endpoint under the collar now, under that pressure. The AWP won't find success. Information gain though. Zorta will be forced off the angle of a flash. Now for Endpoint. Bit of a slight stack over towards this B side. 3 players here. 2 taking contact around pillar. How do they make this work in their favor as firepower lacks? And it looks like the B side is going to be hit momentarily. MHL tag coming through. Wants to try and stay alive as best he can as Nerds will find the first.
Another good pick, but forZe are recovering the situations incredibly well. Endpoint playing a double smoke fade here, and look at the damage that Krad's done to both of them. Reload will come in, and he might still get punished for it, but there is still another play here. That is Zorta, and he gets both of them. MHL, nice frag towards Shelfie, keeps Endpoint 1 man up. But Jerry and Zorta, the 2 main men of forZe really for the last few years, trying to push this one over the line. MHL still playing close, ready for a smoke fade again. One will go down. Grenade is superb. Put Zorta down to 30 HP now. MHL, the teammate in support. Jerry will drop. And now it is all down to Zorta, and they're patient enough to deal with him while he swings. Endpoint will stay alive for a little while longer. And we've been talking about Risol, Neo. I've seen a chat message that I want to bring up, because I do believe it's a sort of chat message that we can certainly trust. I believe Shelfie said on Telegram they're going to think between forZe and Risol, and they'll make the decision after this final. So Risol is playing for his future right now. Obviously, we don't have access to Telegram. We're British, after all. We don't use that website. So, yeah, it's always interesting to hear about those things. So, that's really fascinating to see which way they go, because Risol has had some impact today.
It also sort of makes you think, maybe, in a way, that potentially you're looking at a side like forZe and thinking, you know, maybe they have a little bit more faith in Risol just because they've gone for him for the final, right? Potentially that's something in which they may prefer on their side. I mean, who knows, right? But yeah, as you mentioned, a lot on the line for not just this potential spot in Pro League, but also potentially a spot in forZe as the organisation. So all in all, a lot on the line. Jerry will open things up, leading from the front. A surreal will fall. He'll beckon over Nerds in a rotation, but a lot towards HeavyGoD. And as he falls, that might be all she wrote. Time and numbers are dwindling for Endpoint. As 1 by 1 they're falling, but 1 by 1 they're answering back. Nerds will make it yet 1 more. This is crumbling for forZe. It was a 5 versus 3, now a 2 versus 2, and the Molotov might catch Resort on the way out. Smallest amount of HP, and he'll somehow manage to set himself up into a post plant.
How has he got away from that one? And look at Zorta. He's behind the play for so long, but then MHL jumps past the angle. It's unbelievable. He has to shift his way up now, and if he really knew, he could go for a pistol, and the bomb is being defused behind the pillar right now, and they're not going to get it in time. Max makes it happen. They might lose every single player, but what a round. Back and forth. It was a 3v3. It was a 2v2. At the end, it was a 1v1, but the defuse comes through. Oh my word, we go on in incredible fashion.
What a ridiculous, ridiculous couple of rounds we have had here. Again, you gotta say, credit. Endpoint really kind of clawed that one back when it looked dead. It looked like it was done and dusted. And still we survive. Pause to be called by Endpoint. They're 4th out of 4. 4th out of 4, may I say. Used. In towards that. Yeah, in towards this one. And I think there's still a world in which we can make arguments about this being the road to recovery. I mean, we saw Sprout do exactly the same thing as Endpoint just yesterday on Vertigo. Who's to say Endpoint can't do exactly the same in their own regard? And looking over towards the T-side as well, unfortunately, the buy isn't exactly great. I mean, yeah, Zorta's got an AWP to use, but alongside him, what have you really got to bring to the table? Not a lot, to be perfectly honest. It does make you question about what's going to be the next point of call and what is going to be the decisions coming through here for forZe in terms of how they want to play around this. Do they go for a very overzealous force buy? It wouldn't be that bad because Krad and Resort got money, but then Shalfie and Jerry struggle. Or do they just play it safe and just maybe play Zorta deep in the back lines and, you know, if a sight's to fall, he can just kind of, you know, run away, essentially.
It truly is on a knife edge, isn't it? Because forZe will know that they've taken down every single player of Endpoint, despite the fact they won the round. So, yeah, they're gonna. You would think they'd be desperate to go for a buy here, a full investment. If they can get 3 guns, maybe even 4, with Zorta being able to drop, that should be enough to commit to the investment. Just looking at a replay of the round on the stream, of course, as the delay catches up, and pretty remarkable stuff. Seeing how Zorta missed that timing, which allowed, of course, Max to get onto the bomb. Result couldn't push further as he was so low after having to commit to the plant in the molly. Entertaining round for sure. And it might be in for some more entertainment yet as well. Quick tech pause. Resets are coming through. That's why the HUD is currently turned off. Don't worry, guys. We'll get it back into the action for you in a moment. I think there's the same issue with a coach, perhaps. And they're going to get them back in the server and sorted.
I think, if I'm right in saying, I think Fierce dropped out. So, hopefully, back in and we can get things started in just a second. But, yeah, so far, right? So good. I think there's a lot of positives to be taken here from Endpoint as they're starting to slowly claw their way back into, you know, consideration and claw their way back into towards the potential. But there's the other side where one slip up, one mistake from Endpoint, and this is done. You know, it's all she wrote essentially, and you have to start looking once again back on the other side of saying, well, for Endpoint, maybe the question of too little too late will come back to bite them. I mean, they have to be flawless, and it's just for overtime in the same fashion that Sprout did. But Endpoint are a side who do like to play under the likes of, you know, momentum and that whole snowball effect. So I'm not going to count them out by any means. Just, yeah, we've seen some really good work from them in these last few rounds. Great CT holes. That B side looks like it's been on lock as well. I think if they can just shore fire up a couple other areas, like maybe towards excavation, towards mid, where there's been slight weaknesses, Endpoint can really actually somehow get way closer than it should have been, and actually maybe towards OT.
It's a bloodbath in every single spawn right now. You have to keep resetting the round at the moment, but I believe we're only about 30 seconds away from being sorted once again, as usually tends to be the way of how the round resets work. Everyone has to say goodbye and go into the next round and get that reset sorted. A couple of those have been done, and we're going to get back underway. You can hear all the ticks in chat as the converses come through between the two sides. Ready ups, done and dusted. The R, a magic letter, has been typed in the chat. And now we do see forZe's buy. Jerry has got that Mac 10. Like we said, he would most likely be the one on the lesser weaponry. But he did have enough money to get a full investment otherwise. Utility is very good, whereas Endpoint, what do we say about their utility and their money? Winning with not a single player left up means that the round's barely even begun, and while they may have 4 smokes left, they have no flashes and only 1 incendiary, so it's going to be mostly done off the Angels here, you would think.
Early utility for now. Endpoint not taking a lot of that mid control. They are pretty happy just to give it up. A lot of reliance on max spots of information here. Couple of taps coming through. There's the opening kill. The quick trade as well off the back of it. Numbers brawl level before MHL step up with the AWP. He knows there's potential for more to come through as Surreal gets dinked down. And a Molotov won't be a saving grace, unfortunately. Jerry will upgrade. And Krad should catch MHL on rotation.
Wow.
This is crumbling. And maybe we might be on our final chapter here as it's down to one man. Nuts. 1 versus 3 to keep the dream alive for Endpoint on their map pick of Ancient. But forZe, 3 remaining alive. A post-plant set up. And all eyes start to, as they slowly clear the angles, focus back on towards Cave. What can he do? It's Jerry to meet him first, taking that first spray coming through. Find that first kill. There's one. They got a second as well. Nuts! What is that for a round? What a clutch! We thought it was all she wrote. We thought the fat lady had sung, but Nuts, other ideas. A 1 versus 3 clutch at Endpoint are not done just yet.
Oh, our forZe throwing these rounds. How has that one not gone their way? How has Ancient not gone their way yet? Nertz has been a relatively quiet game by his standards. Steps up exactly when needed. I was going to say he doesn't even have a defuse kit to make this one a reality. But the way he baited out the frags were absolutely superb. Replay coming in. Look at that. The way he baited out Jerry. He didn't bite on the first bait, did Jerry? But he bit on the second. And in the end, they all bit the dust. Absolutely unbelievable. And if Endpoint somehow find a way to grind into overtime here, this would be one of the comebacks of the century. Oh my goodness.
Ooh, a little breather after that. I mean, it goes back to what I was saying, Trav. Arguably the best entry in all of Tier 2. He continues to prove me right. I'm a huge Nerds fan. I think it's a case of him, and actually MHL too. I think it's inevitable that we'll see these guys playing towards Tier 1, whether that's with Endpoint or they get poached by a bigger organization. We'll have to wait and see. But I think it's, you know, it's inevitable. And as you mentioned, while it's been a slightly quieter game, definitely by Nerds' standards, he still finds impact in rounds where, you know, the possibilities and the probabilities of him winning them out should be low. I gave him internally less than 5%, and he still manages to make that work. Credit to him, and I guess you got to, you know, focus your eyes the other way too. For forZe, how have you thrown that round? How have you choked that one out?
They're going to be.
If we come back to a point now, you know, where let's say, I mean, regardless of the result, even if forZe end up winning out, that one's really going to haunt them a little bit. But even a worst case scenario for forZe, right? Endpoint take it to overtime, win it out in overtime, take this map. forZe are going to be so annoyed with that one specific round. More than anything, that's the one that's going to haunt them. That's the one that's going to keep them up at night.
I know, right? They're going to be watching back the demo later and tearing their hair out. Oh my goodness. How are we still going? forZe will be looking back at that after plant thinking, how on earth have we found a way to lose that? And now this buy, you never know. This might still be the one to get them through to a victory because it's still a very dangerous one for Endpoint to face. As it stands as an AKM play, of course, as well. Shelfie go for that full force fight with the hero gun. And they've made their way into CT spawn here. Endpoint are fully aware of the situation. They know exactly what's coming their way. MHL could be under a lot of pressure coming in here. It's a lovely tag to assault, but there's the flank from Shelfie. No. And Krad's tapped down Nertz. This is exactly how you'd expect it to end, wouldn't you? How on earth do Endpoint keep this one going? One kit on Surreal. They defied the odds in the previous round. Can they do so in this one as well? One incendiary grenade is removed by Zorta. He's picked up the AWP. HeavyGoD and MiGHTYMAX left now in a 2v2. Kit picked up on HeavyGoD from his dead teammate. Looking to go for the duels instead, and now it's all down to Whistle, and they've done it again. They keep on pulling it out of the fire. Up to 13 for Endpoint, and we go on ever more.
They are dancing with the devil right now at Endpoint. They've got a blood oath because they don't want to fall. They're not done. Ancient is their playground, it seems, so far. They've got to deal with the Mayans there in these temples because, my God, how they have been graced by the gods. There is no two ways about it. Fortune is favoring the bold, and Endpoints are looking exactly like it. 2 rounds is all they need to get back into this, and this one is so important. Break this, and it breaks the forZe economy as well. And I mean that T side. heading into the 30th would have nothing or so limited amounts of firepower, weaponry, nades to work with. Oh, my God. Ronaldo, bit of a spray coming through. MHL, HeavyGoD, both taking quite considerable damage, but still the numbers remain the same as Krad just veers attention in his direction.
forZe going to be, I don't know how they're going to keep their cool in this sort of scenario. They know what works. They've had, what, the last 3 proper strategies they've put together have all worked. They've just messed up the afterplant. So they know they only have themselves to blame. We've seen some insane plays in this conference bracket so far. I have to say, I think that Nertz clutch has to be the best of the lot. That a shadow of a doubt. Jerry has once again got himself into this position, but Surreal spotted it. Doesn't matter. Jerry wins the duel anyway, and once again, forZe have control in towards CT. They're going to be pinching toward Max. Endpoint are convinced that finally they'll stop doing this strategy. If 8 broke, don't fix it. Max's multiple can only get the 1, but he's tagged Shelfie down so low, and there's Jerry again. Another huge advantage for forZe to work with. Can Endpoint keep the dream going? MHL and HeavyGoD, kits available, smoke available, but it has to be solo plays to come in here. Jerry finds MHL, and it's a 34 health HeavyGoD to try and keep it alive. He's going to be walking straight into Shelfie, and he seals the game just about. An insane end to Ancient. That was so much fun. Endpoint kept it going, kept it fun, but forZe just about seal it.
Yeah, my God, what a game, what a game. I think Endpoint, they'll look at themselves and think there was plenty of opportunities for that game to never have got to the point that it did. I think on forZe, on the flip side, they'll be thinking, how did we not close that out 3-4 rounds ago? Because that got a little bit nervy. They got